What's up, YouTube? This is my second video. Woo, super exciting. First off, to start off, I wanted to give a shout out to everyone who commented and liked my video. For those who commented on YouTube, I could not respond because for some reason the YouTube app won't let me see the comments at all. I can see the notification, I could read what you said, but I can't access them on the video directly. So until I figure out how to do that, I won't be able to respond, but I want you to know I did see those and I really appreciate the feedback. So thanks for that. For my second video, I thought it would be important for me to talk about what I believe in as a feminist, sort of to give a background of what exactly I talk about when I say feminism, because we've got so many different beliefs and negative ideas when you hear the word that I think it's important to sort of define it at the very beginning. So for me, feminism is the belief that men and women are equal in society, as well as creation and a Christian point of view. What that means is that women can do everything a man can. And you would think that that would be something we would know already, given how much science we understand and how much humans have been in existence. We would know by now that men and women are equal, but we still have this very heavy worldwide belief that women are weaker than men. And feminism was created to end that discrimination based off of gender. And the reason why modern feminism has so much of a negative feel around it is because what we're fighting for can no longer be defined and ended with a law. For example, when feminism was started, it was about voting rights and about working rights. You can make a law about that. You can make it illegal for a place to not hire women, and you can make it so that women can vote, and you can make it so women can own land. So there were laws that were able to fix these problems. The problem now that we're having with modern society is not something you can just put a law in place. You can't put a law that says catcalling is illegal. You can't regulate that, especially in a country that is so proud of freedom of speech. You can't go up to someone and say, well, she found what you said offensive, so you're now under arrest. That's never going to be a law. That's never going to be okay. But on the other hand, because we have such a hard time making a law like that, we make it so that stalking is actually very easy to do. Legally, police officers can't do anything in most states if you're being stalked unless that person actually physically touches you or physically says certain phrases that are considered threatening. Because of that, they can literally show up to your door, attack you, and then get arrested, but you can't do anything about the months prior up to where they made it very clear that they were following you all the time and nothing's gonna happen, and you spend all this time in fear. So until they physically do something, which you obviously don't want to happen, you're still stuck with this person following you. And that's part of the problem, is this idea that we have to protect certain rights, but not help support women's rights, and it creates this whole issue of what's okay and what's not okay, and that's why feminism comes off as a super aggressive, super man-hating group, when really we're just trying to get things that should be given to us at birth, things that we shouldn't have to fight for. And it's hard to define because everyone defines everything based off of their personal experience, and you can't base the world on your personal experience. In my personal experience, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm actually wearing my pajama pants, but if I was going out, I would be wearing jeans or something, because it's kind of raining outside. And I used to ride the bus, and wearing jeans and pants and a jacket, and I would get honked at, catcalled all the time. It actually felt really threatening to stand at a bus stop by myself. And the thing is, I don't consider myself like one of those supermodels, super attractive women. I'd say I'm about average. So it really had nothing to do with my looks. It had to do with the fact that I had a female body. So I thought maybe if I dressed more grungy-ish that it would happen less. And in the dead of winter, And I'm from California, so everyone who's used to snow, please don't judge me for this. But in the dead of winter, in the snow in Virginia, I'm wearing a gigantic, like, I call it my marshmallow jacket because it's huge, it's puffy, it, like, hides my entire body. Wearing that and, like, 4 layers of some sort of pant-like material. I mean, I had leggings, I had jeans, I had giant socks, I had wearing all of that, and I still got catcalled. I'm not even, like, you can't visibly tell I'm female at that point because of how much layers I have, other than obviously my hair made it clear that I was female. And I got honked at by these guys in a car, and I just ignored them. I ignore most catcallers because they're not really worth my time, and I know that they're just being gross and I don't want to deal with it. And these people physically rolled down their car window and start screaming at me because I didn't turn and acknowledge them honking at me. And they were saying awful things. I mean, like, really horrible things about me, and I felt threatened. But I knew there was nothing I could do. I couldn't call the police because they were yelling at me. What kind of police officer is going to come down to the bus station for a girl who says some guys are yelling at me from their car window? It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to do anything. So I just had to stand there and wait for it to be done until the bus showed up or until they drove off. And luckily they did drive off. They didn't try to get out of their car. They didn't try to hurt me, which was nice, but I was still afraid. Another incident is when this person followed me home. Just some guy. I'm actually pretty sure he tried to drug me because he offered me some water and kept insisting, and I actually said no because, one, I'm not going to take a drink from a stranger. That's just a stupid decision. And 2, I'm a germaphobe, so I didn't really want whatever germs came from him, and it made me kind of grossed out. So whatever he was offering me, I said no repeatedly, and instead of just putting the water back in his backpack like any normal person would, he actually poured it out onto the ground. So that made me like, that was weird. Like, who does that? And he ended up following me onto the bus, and at first I thought maybe he wasn't following me, but I was constantly texting my mother, close friend, and my husband, who at the time was actually my boyfriend, and just like, hey, I think this person's following me home, I don't know what to do, I'm kind of scared, and I actually got off on a different spot, not my stop, and I went across the street to a bank, and I thought, you know, there's no way this person will actually follow me, but I had a friend pick me up just in case, and he picked me up and was driving me home, and I saw the guy waiting at the stop that I had gotten off of. He had actually gotten off in the stop after mine and walked back to it, expecting me to get back on the bus. And to see that, to be afraid like that, I actually called the police in this incident. I was so terrified, and I talked to a police officer, and the police officer, for one, didn't actually believe that I was being followed, and he gave me a lecture about how I shouldn't be afraid of every creepy person on a bus, and told me that I should invest in pepper spray, and that would be a better decision, and not to just call over an incident that made me uncomfortable, and hung up. They didn't get an description of the guy, they didn't get anything. And that's a problem. That's a problem with society. If I had not been smart enough to get off on a different stop, if I had gotten off on my stop and he had followed me home, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if he would have broke into my house. I lived alone, and my boyfriend was long distance. I didn't know what to do. And if this person had broken into my house and attacked me, I would have been defenseless. I'm small. I barely lift anything other than what is at work that I'm required to. I'm not about to pull out some secret kung fu moves and fight my way off of anything. I would have been defenseless and hurt, and the police officer didn't believe that that was an actual problem. And that is what feminism is fighting against. The fact that women cannot call a police officer and give a description about someone who did something like that and be believed. The fact that it's just a dramatic woman doing something and is scared because this person happened to be on the bus and following them home. They didn't want any description of this guy at all. I mean, I had typed it all out on my phone just in case I would forget a detail because I was stressed or anything, and they didn't ask any of it. So that's part of what feminism is fighting. And you can't make laws to fix that. You have to change society's point of view. I'm not ignorant when it comes to fighting sexism, but I'm also an optimist. I think we could change the way people see things. I think we could change the point of view. But when we elect someone who is known for sexually harassing women and has even been pulled to court for raping his wife, and I know people don't believe that even though the court case is actual existence, but because the woman herself withdrew her charges, and suddenly because she withdrew the charges, the whole thing must have been made up, even though she had physical proof of the fact that he pulled her hair out. But we still elected him as president. We glorify the worst of people in the United States instead of fighting for real equality. We claim equality exists already when it doesn't. It doesn't exist in the United States. We claim it does, but it really doesn't. Other countries have higher proof of equality than the United States. Yes, women can work, but we can't even get real maternity leave. A woman who just gives birth has to go back to work the next day or lose her job unless she was almost dead or had a C-section. I shouldn't have to almost die in order to get a couple days off from work if I just pushed a baby out of me. Not that I want kids, but it should still be an option. It should be an option for women. I mean, European countries give fathers paternity leave. I think that's a wonderful thing. There should be maternity and paternity leave. We should be allowed to celebrate having children, but we don't. We would rather rush right back to work and get back into the grindstone and force all these things, even though the body has physically gone through something that's traumatizing. Childbirth is not just a simple couple pushes and it's done. It's a whole experience. Women have to deal with their bodies suffering weeks, sometimes months after it occurring, and we can't even offer them time off work and give them their job back. We have to tell them get back to work the next day or lose your job completely. Who does that benefit? Does it really benefit the employer to go through the process of finding a new person to replace that woman? Or does it benefit the woman who just suffered through all that? So that's feminism to me. Feminism is fighting to fix a social problem. It may not be something we can do laws-wise. We may not be able to legalize or criminalize the behavior, but we can make a point to individually do better, to call it out when we see it, to do better ourselves. If you see something that is clearly not right and clearly motivated by sexism, you can stand up for yourself. And it goes for men too. You need to stand up for us because nobody's gonna believe us women. Not by ourselves. They're gonna take us as being dramatic or whiny or, oh, it's always been this way, so you should just accept it. It can't. It can't continue anymore. We've done generations of this. It's time we put a stop to it. And it should stop this generation and do better for the future.